Hey, everyone. It's your favorite CEO, Miss Flo, back for season 3 of Neon Mike, where the conversation just glows. My guest today just created, not just, has created this very unique niche podcast devoted to One Piece and BL lover, boy lover fandom. I have Miss Jazzy with me. How are you on this Tuesday evening?
It's afternoon for me.
That's right. You're on the. I have to remember. You're on the West Coast. How's
Yes, I
it?
am. I am on the West Coast, but I am doing great. Thank you so much for asking, and thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, for sure. Because when I was like, several friends of mine, kind of introduced me to your social media on Instagram, and I was like, oh, the name kind of took me back a little bit. I was just like, oh, wait a minute, are we trashing One Piece? I was like, no, no, it's like, oh, I get it. It's a play on a little bit of smut, and it is
When I
like,
say trash, I mean it like junk food.
yeah,
Like it's stuff that's good, but it's terrible for you. But I like to think that my show has become something that's not quite so bad to digest, actually. I try to
it's
talk about some real stuff on there.
oh yeah, and it's fun. Like when I was in high school, of course, Tumblr, Wattpad were the home base for fan fiction, the BL genre and things like that. So it was nice to really see that, and it, on your platform, and the vibe that you have with the voice actors, your cast. Like, one, how did you guys all connect, and like what made you want to do this celebration of One Piece fan fiction?
That's okay, that's a two-part question. So most of the cast is my good friends. I am an actor, I guess, was an actor. Most of us do. Now, when I say that, I don't mean like people are like, oh, what TV shows have you been in? None. Zero. The people you see on TV and movies make up a really small fraction of who's actually calling themselves an actor. So
Mm.
I did community theater. I went to a high school that didn't have sports. We only had the arts. Um, so it was just what everybody was doing. There were no musical theater geeks and nerds because we were all doing the same thing essentially. So there was no ostracization in that way. So a lot of the cast and crew are my good friends from high school. Willow, who plays Buggy in the new piece that we've done, is complicated to say the least by Ghostscript, is my friend from high school. Um, Apollo, who was Usopp in the first one, friend from high school. Uh, other than that, um, met through my college theater programs, community theater, and I love karaoke. I actually am a professional karaoke host as well. So some of these are just friends who like we see each other at the same karaoke spots night after night, week after week, and it's just like come hang out, and we became good friends. So James, not James Overstreet, but regular James, who is voicing Ben Beckman and later Rayleigh, was one of those karaoke friends. When you work in the arts, I think that people who work in the arts gravitate towards you and you gravitate towards them. And we are, none of us are wealthy. None of us grew up rich. None of us, most of us didn't even have two parents. So we had to make our own and making something from the ground up that is just something that's for us by us is just something that we're used to, and that's where it came from. I didn't even ask when I was asking my friends to act on this show, I didn't even have to say what it was to most of them. It was just like, "Oh, it's you and you need actors? We're in." They really respect the craft of acting and they love acting so much and there just aren't enough opportunities for us, for people who can't afford to make a bunch of video reels and send them out to managers and agents and those things they cost money and we ain't got it. So it was just an opportunity to do something for free, and most of them were just happy to just say yes and come aboard and come on this journey with me. That is true for everybody except everybody I've known on the show is somebody that I've known for pretty much years, except for Paul, who is everybody's favorite Zorro. Paul had come into my job. Like I said, I host karaoke, and I was like, "Do you do you know anything about One Piece?" And he was like, "Yeah, I love One Piece." And I was like, "Excellent, excellent." He obviously, yeah, it's all coming together. He obviously has an incredible speaking voice, and he told me that he was an actor, and he also works in tech in the arts as well. So he does, yeah, he does gear work, like lighting and sound design for different stuff professionally, and that's cool. And everybody loves knowing that he's like a real life Zorro. He works out for fun. He like we had to do our recording schedule around his marathons. Like he flies out to different states to run marathons. He's like a real
Wow.
life Zorro. He once told me that he does 100 squats every day.
100?
Right.
Like,
Right.
bro, his glutes must be
Relaxed.
like, it's insane. That's funny,
Love
but
him.
like that, it sounds like you can tell the bond and love that you have for each other, and it feels more than just friends. It does feel like a family. And you're absolutely right to build this, to create a platform to have representation, to see, people of color, queer in this space is that's just amazing. And thank you for providing that. And also, can we just shout out karaoke and how it's just like bringing people together? So what's like
Yes.
what songs do you guys usually like play when you're in the in the booth?
Oh, my friends, we love musical theater. So, Six is always on the menu. Hamilton is always on the menu. I'm a big fan of me and Apollo love to sing Say No to This. That's one of our favorite songs. We love that. We love Rent.
Mm.
Alex, who voices Sanji in the first fic, loves Rent. He also loves Ludo, Love Me Dead. We're big. Yeah, we're big into that. Willow, who plays Buggy, likes the classics. They like big songs. They have a really big singing voice. I've posted some of our karaoke nights on the socials. Some of them. Not everybody's comfortable with their face being shown,
Right.
so like sometimes I put the character's face over it. But I have so many more videos of our karaoke nights. But yeah, we love to sing. Apollo loves to do "Not Like Us" at
Uh,
karaoke. Which, if you didn't know, there is a karaoke track of "Not Like Us." So
what?
at your
Oh,
next karaoke, go ahead and give a little bit of Drake Hate a try.
I mean, it took over. That's insane. Like how big did it? I think that song got a Grammy. Like that's taking the beef to a whole nother level, and I
Huge.
respect it. I respect it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
So
just
funny.
like, um, but back to One Piece. One, how did you get introduced to the show in general, and like, why do you think is like resonated so hard with the fan base? Because if you're a fan of One Piece, it's like I have friends that talk about it like it's like a religion. It's
Yes.
like it's amazing like how powerful this anime is, and you're seeing its influence all over the world. Like I think was it
Yes.
Nepal? Like the flag is being shown in like uprisings and rebellion. I'm like, yo, like I remember watching it when I was younger on Toonami, and unfortunately falling asleep and then waking up to Inuyasha. Any credit, but like
Yes. Waking up to Bokutachiwa early in the
like
morning.
I'm saying, but it's just like my friends like live, breathe One Piece. So why do you think it's resonated with people so much?
So, okay. My journey into One Piece, I am not a day one fan. I started watching One Piece in 2023 after the live action came out. And I don't talk much about it because I like to keep my life kind of private and separate, but I am actually married, and my husband is a huge One Piece fan. When people were trying to, I'm not gonna say people, I'm gonna say men, when men were trying to convince me to watch One Piece, they did a really shit job of it.
Mhm.
I don't think that men are that good at describing TV shows. I don't think they're that good at telling you why they like something, as evidenced by the fact that they'll know their homeboy for 10 years, but not know his middle name or his kids at all. And I think that's a very odd thing because it couldn't be me, but okay. So whenever a man would be like, "Oh man, you gotta watch this anime, man. You know the fights. You know when they had these baddies, the big titties on there." That's
It's
not gonna convince me to watch anything.
right.
That's
It's
not
very
going to stick with me
superficial.
at all. They're very superficial with the way. So like I was like, man, One Piece sounds stupid. This sounds lame. And it wasn't like I wasn't into anime. I was always into anime. Um, I just didn't want to watch a lot of like male centered things. I didn't want to watch a lot of shonen at all. So what ended up happening was the live action came out and my husband had a watch party with his friends over Discord about it because they all live in different states and they were like talking during it. And I thought it was really exciting. And the live action, of course, is very beautiful.
Mhm.
It made me a believer. So, behind my husband's back, I started watching One Piece. And when I got to, I want to say Annie's Lobby. So when I got to like right there, like after Water 7, sometime in the middle of Annie's Lobby, I was like, okay, I need to tell him. So we were in the car and I was like, baby, I need to come clean about something. And he starts sweating,
Oh my god! Why
girl.
would you say it like that?
I
You,
know.
I can imagine like him panicking.
He starts sweating. He was like, yeah, baby, like he's always gonna meet me with love. He's always gonna be like, you can tell me anything, and we're gonna move forward, as a couple because I love you so much. Just whatever you're gonna say. And I was like, baby, I've been watching One Piece behind your back while you go to work. And he was like, the stages of grief, denial, anger. Like I had to watch him go through it. And then like a stage of grief we don't talk about is funny. He started laughing. And then he finally got to acceptance and he was like, why did you lie to me? Well, essentially, it was he had such strong feelings about One Piece that I knew that I would never be able to watch it with him the way that we watch other anime together. Because I needed to feel about it the way I felt about it and not I didn't want him to look at me like, why aren't you crying? Or why aren't you laughing? Like, why don't you like this? It needed to come from me. And it
Mhm.
needed to be something that was about me and that was purely for my own enjoyment. And of course, if I made it all the way to Annie's Lobby, then I very much enjoyed it. So that was my introduction to One Piece. And let me tell you, it's not that long. So the live action came out, what, November 2023?
Yeah.
That's when I started. Was it 23? Yeah, that's when I started watching One Piece. By June of 2024, I was current for that time. Like I was week to week after that. So, and I watched it in the sub and the dub simultaneously.
What?
I did not, yeah. So, like, think about like watching both of them. I would watch a couple episodes in English, go back, watch them then in the subtitle version, the original language. Sometimes I would hop over to Spanish. I love watching One Piece and doing all of that caught up in 8 months.
Wow.
And
That's dedication right there and respect.
it wasn't watching 20 episodes a day. 4 or 5. 4 or 5. If I had a long bus ride, I'd download some episodes of One Piece, get the Hulu app on your phone. They had like the retroactive episodes on there. Like, pirate wherever you pirate. I mean, no, I don't advocate for stealing. I would never do that. But yeah, just like whenever I had downtime, doing dishes, folding laundry, I have the One Piece on. So I experienced it both in English, Japanese, and like I said, like some in Spanish. I loved it, loved it, love it. I have the Luffy earrings on right now.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
Super
Where'd you
cute.
get them?
I got these at a convention called Ichigo Con that happens out here in the Oxnard area. and I was actually a performer there. So I have another show called the Anime Cabaret where I
Ooh,
am a singer and I sing anime music. So I do covers and I do mashups and remixes of popular anime tunes, and I just host like I have a big old dance party and I sing live. I actually just did Ichigo Con again a couple of weeks ago. It's a really beautiful
wow.
festival.
I just love the concept of an anime cabaret because if that sounds so classy, like I could
It's
just
catchy,
picture the
right?
vibe. Like that I would buy a ticket. I would. Like
Thank
I would
you.
really enjoy that. Have you thought about like taking it to other conventions, like doing a tour?
I have thought about it. I'm not going to do that until
Okay,
this makes some money.
fair.
Uh, yeah, nobody. Right now, it's all about follower count, and I don't
Mhm.
have like a huge following for either of my endeavors, either for the podcast or for the anime cabaret. And they'll only pay you to come out if you're like a huge,
Yeah.
10K person, and I'm not that, and I actually don't see myself ever getting that big. But I would love, love, love to take my show across the road because of all the people in the area and like just across the country doing what I do. And if you're out there, correct me if I'm wrong, introduce yourself to me. I would love to meet you. I'm the only Black woman of all the people out there doing anime music. They're bands, so they're live music ensembles. I do not have a band. It's just me and my tracks. I make my own remixes. I mixed up Bluebird from Naruto with Body Party by Sierra. It's a song that I call Sexy no Jutsu, and like I made that track myself. I record my own backing vocals. It's literally all just me. And I don't have the following that a lot of these other groups do. Um it is what it is. Please, I am super happy doing what I do, and I very much enjoy my show and where it's at. People come to my shows and they recognize me from previous years, and they are dancing at my shows. They are having fun at my shows. So that's what I'm after the most. I apply places to go sing and they say yes or no and I show up. But yeah, I've had people from Houston reach out, people from Atlanta reach out, want me to take my show. They want to see some Black people on stage
Yeah.
singing anime music, doing what they do, doing what I do. And yeah, and hopefully someday very soon in the future.
Oh yeah, I would love to see that. And it's kind of I don't want to say like it's hard to think like in 2025 that we're kind of like only seeing still a small pocket of like Blurred's Black anime fans because
Yeah.
like out here on on the East Coast we have Blurred Con. You know what I mean? So that's like
Yeah.
I mean like I feel like that your act would totally kill if you're able to make it out here. And I would
I would
definitely be
love
like I'll be
to.
front row for sure. Cause like I mean that like that's your core audience. People be vibing with you. You can make it like even like a karaoke experience. Like that is I would absolutely love to see it. Also, like I said, like who doesn't like being in a cabaret? Oh, I'm in a cabaret. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's a kiki. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I do see because I like to manifest things. So I do see your act being in that space. That is like that is for you for sure. And you're so like the other thing like I want to point out is that when you're independent and you are like kind of doing everything on your own, like for you to come up with the act and mix the tracks or like all or yourself, it is very challenging because like doing social media, that is a job within itself. And it's like it's so it can be taxing. You would think like, oh, I just have to put up a post, but then you also have to like factor in, okay, what hashtags do I have to use or what captions would like get the most attention. You got to figure out the algorithm, or you have to find some other assistant app that may help push it. It's like it's so much, but it's like I don't want to like. I've met so many talented people that although they don't have a huge following, their stuff is good, and I think like for us to just invite so many talented people so they can be seen, like that's the goal, that's the mission right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you hear the uniqueness of the act and if it's of quality, bring it on board and just see. Give people a chance. That's my message.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah,
people a
give people a
chance.
chance.
You know,
About this social media thing, like I'm very proud that um on Instagram I don't have neither of the accounts for the Anime Cabaret or the One Piece of Trash podcast have over 1,000 followers at all. The One Piece of Trash podcast, I think maybe only has like 200 and something on TikTok. The podcast has, I think we just hit 6,000 on the podcast, and for the Anime Cabaret, I'm just shy of 2,000 followers on TikTok. Um, I don't pay to promote. I don't post trends. I talk about what I want to talk about when I want to talk about it, and I make the things that I want to make when I want to make it. I basically post for me. I post things that will make me laugh. I have a few viral videos under my belt that got a decent amount of reach. I'm proud of those, but that's not why I do it. I see it more of like a resume when I'm applying to perform at different conventions or different spaces. Just like you can go on my Instagram and see all the stuff I do. Um, I do some comedy stuff. I do make some funny skits. I did like one makeup tutorial. I just and that was it. Honestly, the reason that I did so much like content and not just posting videos of me singing is because I knew that that was the way to get a following pretty quickly, but it is not my favorite thing to do. Like I said, I went to an arts high school. I focused on the arts in college, and I had been in the arts pretty much since I was a small child. I was groomed for a world where you would walk in and audition and somebody would say yay or nay, and that world simply does not exist. And
mm,
I think I don't speak for myself. I speak for a lot of us who are in our 30s and who wanted to be in the arts from very small. It's to get in front of someone to audition is extremely hard, and open auditions don't happen as often. And if they do happen, they post them somewhere, and then like somebody's agent will see it, and the agents and the managers will like let the talent know where to go and where to go out. There's no like open call spaces anymore. So it's not like I can just say, hey, for example, my next gig is November 8th at Anime Pasadena. Like, hey, Anime Pasadena, um, can I walk in and sing for your talent coordinators so that they can put me on? That doesn't happen. Um, Especially if you're trying to get into somewhere like, oh, I don't know if I can say them, but Schmanime Schmexpo. Uh, they're like really strict. When you do their application, they ask you how many followers that you have, and it's not just them. Other large conventions will ask you what your follower count is, and then they say, "Oh, it doesn't affect your, it doesn't affect whether or not we'll say yes to you coming perform or not." It does. It always matters. They want to know if people like you, so that they don't want to book you for nothing. They want to book somebody who can draw a crowd, especially for like the larger places. But for smaller conventions, which is my circuit right now, more community organized and community centered events, they're so sweet. And I just make sure that the top pin videos of my music page in particular are all just of me doing really good shows where like the crowd is feeling it, so that that's like becomes your resume. So if anybody's listening and wants to do what I do and start their own thing, the follower count does kind of matter. But once you get there, you better deliver on stage.
oh yeah, and that's interesting. Like to hear that there's no longer a space for like open calls because it's just like I'm in my like mid 30s as well, so that's just like that's just what I've always seen, or I thought like actors had to do. But it is disheartening because like are we going to go for someone that may be like a fan favorite, or do we want to go with somebody that is qualified? And
Right.
it's yeah, so it's
And
just like,
we are seeing this now as like there are very mediocrely talented people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're getting movie deals, they're getting book deals, they're getting commercials, and there are people who've been working their butts off, since they were like 8, 7 years old, and they've only ever wanted to do acting or only ever wanted to do singing, and they're finding it difficult to compete in the world of influencers, which, again, like I said, you don't walk into auditions anymore, especially like without an agent. You submit a tape, you submit a reel, and if they don't look good and polished, often you're not considered. So you need somebody to mix those tracks for you, and that costs money. And buying the equipment to do it at home, that costs money, something that a lot of people really don't have anymore. That's why influencer culture and like TikTok and Instagram, it's a blessing and a curse, because
mhm.
there are a lot of people who are supremely talented who get their starts on TikTok and Instagram, and they do get elevated and they do get the brand deals, and we're all like super happy and we want to root for them. The thing is that, like, follower count matters to the point where if somebody has over 1 million followers and people be like, oh, well, people will probably buy our soda if this person sells our soda. So then they give that person $80,000 to promote their soda. But there are also people who don't have the means to get a professional reel made, who are finding success on TikTok and Instagram and are supremely talented and absolutely deserve all that success, and we get to root for them, and we get to say hey, and like, oh my gosh, we knew them back when. Like, yeah, it's kind of fun to see in that way. Like, now it's the playing field is even in a way for those of us who just kind of couldn't afford to get an agent, get a manager. They cost money. That's something a lot of us don't have to spare.
And it's unfortunate that that's the such a obstacle, because like I still had in my mind, it's like, oh, casting call for this type of role, and you just go in and they have like the tape, and you have like the producer, director, the script writer just sitting, and talking with the actor one on
Yeah.
one. It's like, wow, my thought process is still back in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s, and it's like, wow, that like,
It's also residual from COVID too, they just kept doing it the way they were doing it back then. You send a reel in, you send a tape in, nobody really wants to like see a bunch of like 100 auditions in a single day anymore. They don't really do that anymore. And I live in LA, so I can tell you. What I used to it used to be like pre-COVID, not even so much then, but like 2013, 2011, you could drive around LA and there would be lines. People are going to auditions, they're going to cattle calls, they're going to casting calls. You just don't see that anymore.
wow. That's such a shame, because like we already talked
Yeah.
about like the lack of representation that we see, people of color in media, and anytime that we do get it, it's considered woke, or
Yeah.
it's
God.
it's like it's so annoying. You know what I mean? There's like, and I'm glad that you're speaking on this, is because we do see an emergence of more black owned studios, and black owned streaming platform, well,
Yeah.
streaming platforms. Shout out to Blur Station.
That's a Blur Station.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like there are spaces out there that are trying to just eliminate those barriers a lot of performers are dealing with. And again, thank you for kind of like speaking on that, because I'm not in that space. I never
Mhm.
knew like the challenges of just getting your foot in the door per se. And it's like, it seems like you have to be very privileged, and it's just like it doesn't seem fair at all. It
Yeah,
really doesn't.
because a lot of the times back in the day, you'd walk into an audition and like, listen to my voice. This is how I actually naturally sound. Um, I was told a few times that I wasn't the right kind of black girl for certain parts. And then I would go and watch those plays later, and I would see they wanted somebody to do all of this. They wanted somebody who was stereotypical. I've been told I was too dark. I've been told I was too light. I've been told that I didn't have the right voice, which I mean, fine, whatever. They a lot of times they wanted someone to represent
A
what's
stereotype.
the
It's
word?
it's a
A
stereotype.
stereotype, yeah.
It's almost like a stereotype. It's almost giving like minstrel show a little bit when they just
A
want to put.
little bit.
Yeah, it's just like they just want you. Like black people are all over the spectrum, and that
That's the
includes
thing.
neurodivergent as well.
Exactly. We don't have weird black girl representation the way we need it.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the reasons why my podcast has done so well, because it's not just weird black girl. I have people from all walks of life on my show, and they get to talk about their lived experiences. That brings so much. I could have casted some guy with a deep voice to play Zorro, but Paul is playing Zorro, and he is Vietnamese, and he can speak to the Asian experience, and he can speak to what that's like growing up in America, what it is like to shop in Korean markets in the neighborhood, because he talked about the book Crying in H More, which is such a great book. And then I have a black Usopp. In the regular dub, Usopp is played by a white guy. So like there's nothing cultural being brought to the character. Shout out to Sonny Strait. He's an amazing actor. He's one of my favorite dub actors, but I have a black Usopp. I have an Usopp who can represent for the weird black boys who are like Usopp, who grew up lonely, who grew up trying to make everybody around them laugh. I have somebody who can speak to what that experience is. And when we see like weird girl representation in TV, it's always like a girl who wears glasses and that's it. Or like a girl who likes comic books or listens to Cher. Where are the weird black girls who are 100% diagnosed on the spectrum? Where are the weird black girls who are on Wattpad, who are on AO3? Where are the weird black girls who know what the Omegaverse is? That's what
Mm-mm.
I'm talking about. This show resonates with so many people because there aren't a lot of spaces. Fan fiction is an overwhelmingly female dominated and queer dominated space, and there was so little representation, and that's one of the things that fan fiction is for. It's always been for us by us. This character feels like they could be really cool as a transgender character, so I'm going to write them trans. And so many trans people can bring their lived experiences to these types of characters. So many people who like write for black characters in fan fiction can make those characters black in the way that they know culturally, because you and I know that black people from Atlanta and black people from the Bay and black people from New York and black people from Chicago and LA are all different. But a white writer or a white voice actor is not going to know that. So they won't be able to bring that character to life in that
Mm.
way. Fan fiction allows us to space to fill in those blanks and really see ourselves in the art. We do this because we already see ourselves in the art, right? Like there's something in Luffy or there's something in Usopp or there's something in Nami or Robin that we see in ourselves. So we make fan fiction. I don't make fan fiction. I don't know why I say we, but like so people make fan fiction, and you can just go so much further. I've read so many fan fictions where Nami was a lesbian. I've read fan fictions where Nami was thick and they described her larger body and like what it was like to occupy what it was like to live in that body and have a thick girl experience. And that's a beautiful thing. Like we get to do this for ourselves. We cannot let them take AO3, y'all. We cannot let them take AO3 from us. That would be so crazy.
All right, yeah, and the speak on it is because when we advocate or we are asking for representation in Hollywood, not just as actors and like visibly see our skin, but also like with the writing, because like you said, we're all over the place. How
Yeah,
we interact with each other in DC is going to be different than somebody how they would interact on the West Coast in California or how they would interact in New York. But you're not going to get that unless you are from there. You're not going to
yeah,
get the slang. You're not going to get the
yeah,
cultural reference. You know what I mean? It's and that's what we are really asking for. But I would say this, and like I know that social media can be a gift and a curse, but what I really appreciate it is that there is no gatekeeping. I
yeah,
appreciate you for sticking to who you are, not just to follow the trends, but to post things that you like and being authentic. I feel like it's being so missed right now because I feel like a lot of people feel pressured to be something that they're not, just to
yeah,
just to get ahead. And I feel like that would be draining on the soul. But for you to really share what you're passionate about and your talent and being you, I'm positive that there will be a turn of tide where more people are asking for that authenticity. You know what I mean? And so, like, fingers crossed, toes crossed. You can't see my toes right now, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm crossing everything because, like, that's what I truly ask for. And that's how I move as well. You know what I mean? I do have fumble numbers as well. And I get that. But I am in a space where people see the level of content, they see my skill set uh, as a podcaster, as a photographer, and that's what I really want. I don't want to compromise myself to try to do big numbers. My Instagram is my portfolio. It is this is me. This is me. This I just little tidbit for my Broadway baby. Um but yeah, and I just absolutely love that about you and I appreciate that.
thank you
Um
so much.
yes, but just to go back to One Piece a little bit, and especially into the fanfic. Who are your like favorite BL pairings and why?
I get this question a lot, and as as an actor myself, um, and as somebody who loves acting and loves actors, my answer is the same as when somebody who you don't think can play a part well gets the part. Like when Ben Affleck was playing Batman, everyone was like, Ben Affleck can't be no Batman. Um, it's his job to convince you. So I don't have like a favorite BL pairing. I leave it up to the fanfic author to convince me that this pair works. So I've everyone knows my feelings on Zosan. If you don't, you can see a lot of it on my page. It's low hanging fruit. It's very obvious. It's very glaring. Um, but I have been convinced of some Zosan's absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous writing. Uh, I love the pair. Oh, I love Katakuri and Corazon. These two characters never meet, never interact, but there are some amazing fanfic authors out there who have written some really amazing like epics where they're in an arranged marriage. I love the arranged marriage trope actually. I love when like a relationship starts out as a fake relationship and then they start to get feelings for each other just like
It's
oh my
like
god.
it's like putting like against the odds, like almost that was a like the it's like hate, but it turns into love, like the
Yeah.
resentment, and then it's just like,
Enemies to
oh
lovers.
yeah,
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dynamic.
Arranged marriage. I love arranged marriage. It's corny and I never get tired of it. I love arranged marriage and I love, oh, can you pretend to be my boyfriend? And it's like, yes, but then they're not pretending anymore. And I'm just like, oh my
Like
God. I will say it's not my favorite, but I do deeply love it, which is why it was first on my podcast. But Zoro and Usopp. And the reason I'm bringing it up now is because that's canon. Otis said so.
uh,
Oda released I'm for real. Oda Oda released in an SBS that he wrote like the Straw Hats as a family and Zoro and Usopp were husband and wife. And I was like, oh, Usopp is canon. Usopp is canon.
That's wow.
Usopp is
I just
canon.
love.
That's
I
from the
mean,
man himself.
that the author, the creator of One Piece is truly remarkable because
Yeah.
I got back into the same way that you did. Like I kind of got back into One Piece when the live action came out. So I just kind of like, and it was like the casting on that is,
It's so good. They really care about this.
oh yeah,
Like
the
you can tell.
yeah, like the lead actor that plays Luffy, he took the time to learn Japanese to speak to the fans in Japan. I'm like, that young man is like the sweetest thing. Like you get like, and that's why I was speaking to earlier, like the power of One Piece, like the level of dedication, the respect for the show, like
Oh,
people have absolutely fallen in love with it.
you did ask me how I felt about the impact of One Piece worldwide, and I just want to say that I just feel so happy to be a part of it in some small way. A lot of people were convinced to watch One Piece because of me, because
Oh,
my show is leftist, not liberal, not Democrat, leftist. Uh, and we talk so much about freedom of speech, about revolution, about the safety of different minority groups. Um, I live in LA. ICE is in my city. We
same.
have successfully fought them off several times. I have seen many a Straw Hat Jolly Roger flown around my city. I'm so, so proud that there are people out there who really get this media. They get Luffy, they get this show. They understand that One Piece is political. They understand that One Piece is for the working class. It's for the poor people. It is not a show that is comfortable to watch if you're an oppressor. And they will let you know so quick. Like we just saw the Kuma backstory, the Robin backstory. One Piece is for the people, and the people have taken this thing that seems so stupid and so silly to people who are on the outside, but they don't get how we feel about this, or what this means to us and what it's done for us. One Piece has been very liberating for so many people. One Piece has opened so many people's eyes to real world atrocities. Nothing that's happened in One Piece is fictional. Everything that has happened in I said this in a video that I made. Everything that happens in One Piece has happened to Black people in real life. There is there is many an atrocity, the forced experimentation, the replacement of our people, the forced breeding of our people, the enslavement of our people. They don't understand how personal this is to some of us. And but so many of us do, so many of the One Piece fans really, really do get this. And it's just, it's really inspiring to see the One Piece Jolly Roger being flown in Gaza, flown in, where did they just have those, there have been revolutions all over the world, all over, like, seeing the One Piece Jolly Roger, you go, oh yeah, every single time. Hell yeah.
And that warms my heart because like you wouldn't think like in America we would have to be at that point where we have to be revolutionaries, but under
Yeah.
Agent Orange, because like I'm in DC, we're dealing with like the National Guard being here. I've seen posts about like the neighborhood pushing away ICE at Columbia Heights because that's a predominant Latino community. But it's just like there's hope. One Piece gives you hope. It is a reflection of the world, and it's kind of like coaching like the next generation of, I'm gonna say Black Panthers. I'm just like it's kind of giving that type of vibe for real.
It gives
And
Black Panther a little bit.
yeah,
I think this is I think One Piece is a really good way for, especially, like you said, younger generations to experience what a revolution looks like and how, especially Alabasta, how it's extremely messy and sometimes it is bloody, but it is necessary. And that the freedom that you get is always worth it. And that the peace that comes after the revolution is always worth it. And we're on our way to a couple of them right here, right now. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's good. I think that like my mom is not watching One Piece, but I talk about it so much that she knows quite a bit of it. And like when she went to LA Comic Con by herself without me. It's her first convention. And she had gotten some One Piece merch and she was looking at all the Luffy cosplayers and she was loving them. And she was like, "But why do they have to be pirates? You know, pirates are criminals." And I was like, "See, that's exactly what it's about right there. They're criminals because the government says they're criminals. That's it." And somebody's like, "Oh, well, there's good and bad pirates. There's good and bad Marines. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
A Marine, the goodest Marine on their best day would defend a celestial dragon. And that's the thing that people need to really take away from One Piece. Luffy can do what he does because he's not a Marine.
Mm.
Kobe is a great guy. He cannot do everything that needs to be done because he's still a Marine. There are good cops. Not all cops are bad. The goodest cop, the nicest cop on their goodest day would remove a homeless person from their only home on the streets. And we have to reckon with that as a society. Like, good person does not mean good institution.
Mm.
I feel like that about Doflamingo's father too. He's still the goodest celestial dragon couldn't even be that good. He didn't go to live amongst the people. He moved into a mansion in their town and put himself in a place of superiority over them and expected them to welcome him with open arms. And he was a good celestial dragon. You know, the goodest people in the worst system will still uphold that bad system. So
And
in saying that there are good Marines, you know, the Marines who arrested Robin were doing their job. Is that
mm,
good or is that bad? And I think it's
right.
important for young people to see that. Like there's no such thing as goodness in a corrupt system.
It has to be torn down. It has to be restructured. And when
Absolutely.
people, because like it just takes me back when the movement of like defund the police, and people were very confused by it. Like we need the police, but it's just like in, the institution itself is broken, and there
Yeah.
have been some communities that have dismantled their police department and made it more community based, and they were better for it. But it's still like it's the mindset,
Yeah.
the sense of revolution is not televised. It's not connect. It's not clicking here. You know what I mean? But it's just like
They're
I
not
think it's just
talking
a
to
matter.
you.
Yeah,
It's not talking to them.
it's just gonna be a matter of time before people really see it. Like it's not as black and white as
Yeah.
as it may seem. And it's just like if to quote Magneto, my favorite mutant, it's like he has been at the mercy of soldiers just following orders. And it's like that's the line that has always resonated with me, is because it's just like you have to pay attention to who is in charge. You have to pay attention to the laws that are being in place, but it's that information is being suppressed, is being controlled. And then, like speaking of suppression, like the post about like anime not being accessible in the U.S. when in reality it speaks the truth. It, like I said earlier, it's a mirror. And
Hmm.
to see the suppression of like free speech this way is very disheartening. But as we have been speaking throughout this whole episode, is that One Piece is so strong that we are seeing that Jolly Roger flag everywhere, every movement. So for those that have seen it, who read the manga, who have watched it on whatever platform, it's it's sitting in with people's spirits, it's uplifting people, it's encouraging them to stand up to injustice. And like that is a beautiful thing.
I think it's cool that Luffy can teach younger generations that it is possible, that it's not easy, but it's possible. It's one step at a time, you know? They're not going to fight. They're not going to dismantle the world government tomorrow. It's just been island to island to island to island. These small victories, taking down one corrupt leader at a time. And I think it's also good that One Piece shows us that it's not just one guy. I mean, yeah, Luffy, he's the guy. He takes down all the big bads, but it's not possible if no one else was doing their part.
Right.
That it takes people of different backgrounds and different skill sets. Yes, a musician is important. Yes, a mechanic is important. Yes, someone who can handle money and navigate is extremely important. An archaeologist is important. Like these are all different facets of the same gem that even if you can't fight, if you can't march, you can do something. You can write a song, you can write a poem. You can house people who are hiding from ICE. You can house people who are hiding from the National Guard. You can clothe people. You can donate money. If you don't have any money, you can donate food. It is it is such a good thing if a person at one time makes one plate for one homeless person to feed them for one day, that's good. That's great even. That does so much. It doesn't have to be it's not always just Luffy punching somebody in the face. It has to be setting up calculated traps, setting up calculated ambushes, places of resistance, getting the people involved, getting your neighbors involved. It takes writing pamphlets and taping them to doors, taping them to cars. You can do something. Everybody can give something. You don't have to be inauthentic to yourself. You don't have to do something you don't want to do, but your gifts and your talents that you've already got can help somebody else, can help the revolution. Every single Straw Hat's a different, unique, beautiful individual person. And like Zoro said in Alabasta, they all kind of do their own thing, working towards their own separate goals, but each working together to achieve large goals in the meantime. And it's not just fighting, it's also just helping people get to safety sometimes, making sure everybody's fed
Mhm.
sometimes. That's it. I think that's what we need a lot more now than anything. It's just there's many facets of a revolution. There's many facets of resistance, and it doesn't all have to look the same for everybody. I can't believe I'm saying this, but my Gay Smut One Piece podcast is a method of resistance. When I started this show, it wasn't supposed to be. When I started the show, it wasn't like that. But then Project 2025 happened and they threatened AO3 and they're threatening our free speech. They're saying that, men can't wear dresses and people can't be trans and people can't. And please, it's always going to come back to black. It will always come back to black. It'll always start with people over there and then it always winds up over here. So
Mhm.
we cannot be naive about that. But I created a show where I elevate queer voices, trans voices, female voices, black voices, Asian voices. We get to hear from the people themselves. They can talk about whatever they want on my show. I'm not stopping anybody from saying anything. I had a sexual education expert on my show, just like talk about not only like the history of sex ed and how we talk about it and the history of women consuming BL. And because one of the things that I said on that episode was a lot of the joke is like, oh, I'm the first in my bloodline to read boy love fan fiction. No, you're not. No, you're not. Your granny was doing it. My granny loved Twilight. And she my Nana loved Twilight. I could not hear the end of it. Okay. I promise you, back in the day, those romance novels were popping, but the men didn't know about it.
It was like a well kept secret. They wasn't going to read it. It's just like, oh, she's just reading a book in the corner. It's fine. It's like, no.
Oh, honey, smut is a tale as old as time. I guarantee you, anybody who could read and was reading romance novels was reading smut. And a common thing back in the day was if you and your homegirls got together and you could read, but none of them could read, you would read to them. You would sit there and read, and that's oral tradition. That's how much of our that's how much of Black history was passed down. That's how oral tradition is how Black people passed down recipes because the literacy of our people was stunted because of chattel slavery, right? They didn't allow us to read and write. We learned in secret and we did the best we could and we set up one room schoolhouses, but like reading aloud to people, oral tradition, we're continuing that tradition with podcasts like mine, with audiobooks, with podcasts like yours. We're It's just so cool to me that we're continuing a tradition of our ancestors of telling stories and talking to people. This is really fascinating to me. I'm sorry, I'm a rambler.
Right?
Feel free
No,
to cut
you're
me off.
you're perfectly fine. I totally get where you're coming from. And like I said, I appreciate what you're doing with your show. Where can everybody follow you?
You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the One Piece, not the One Piece of Trash Pod, on Tumblr at One Piece of Trash Podcast. Shout out to Mac who runs my Tumblr for me because I don't have the bandwidth to do it. You can find me on Blue Sky. I don't ever post on there, but you can message me and I will respond. One Piece of Trash Pod.bsky.social. I'm on AO3 as Red Haired Skanks. If you are a fan fiction author and you see Red Haired Skanks in your comments, I am probably going to ask you to be on the show. I always get permission from the authors. And if you want to follow my live anime music show, The Anime Cabaret, you can follow me at The Anime Cabaret on Instagram and TikTok. I would love to see you all.
Oh, and see how you guys glowed from that conversation? I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Can we do the theme song together? Dun dun
Yes.
dun 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 dun
Dun, dun,
dun
dun,
dun dun.
dun, dun, bum, bum.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. This was lovely. Thank you so much.